You get what you pay for, right? One of my dad's favorite sayings was, you get what you pay for. And one of his other favorite sayings was, you can't afford to buy the cheap one twice, so just buy the good one once. Well, what does my dad's old sayings have to do with free DAWs? For some of you that might not know, Cakewalk is now going through another really big turnover. This poor DAW has been run through the ringer. It's another one of my dad's old sayings. I always wondered what that meant. Is he like talking about like the old clothes wringer? Like they crank it and it like runs the clothes through to like dry them out? I really don't know. That's my best guess. So Gibson bought Cakewalk from Roland back in like 2013. And they basically ran it into the ground. It wasn't good. They actually decided to halt development entirely in 2017. Then Bandlab acquired the software in 2018. And now in 2023, they are eliminating the free tier of this DAW entirely. And they're coming out with two new products, Cakewalk Next and Cakewalk Sonar, which looks like the more classic powerhouse DAW. Now, if you don't know what Bandlab is, they're kind of this free online DAW platform. And to be honest with you, I don't think it's that good. I've tried to use it. Maybe it's gotten better since then. Who knows? But I haven't had a great experience with it. And I think Bandlab, knowing the audience that they serve, which is beginners and people looking to play around with music in the DAW, similar to GarageBand users, although GarageBand is significantly more powerful than Bandlab, I think Bandlab is trying to enter the market just a little bit more by acquiring Cakewalk. And now they're trying to eliminate the free tier entirely and start making this a paid software. I'm going to be honest with you. I kind of expected this to eventually happen. Some people, and not all of them, but some that are complaining about this DAW, the fact that they now have to pay for it, are also complaining that artists aren't paying them enough and their job isn't paying them enough. And so I want to set things clear here real quick. If you wouldn't do free work, why would you expect somebody else to do free work? Every time there's a new iteration of Windows and Mac OS, especially with the jump from Intel to the M-series CPU chips that are on the Mac computers now, that is a ton of work that these people have to go through. And so I really do empathize with them on that aspect. They also have families to feed, and I understand that. But there is a way to do free. And I believe this would have been the better option in my opinion. So the way you can actually do free is we need to actually look at the other industry that's adjacent to the music industry. That is the video industry. Recently, DaVinci Resolve has been blowing up. And it's been blowing up because it is mostly a free DAW. It's extremely powerful. It is fully featured in the free version. Now there is a studio version, which you can buy for around $300, that has extra features that most people won't use, to be completely honest with you. A lot of people that I know have been switching to DaVinci Resolve, especially because Adobe Premiere has been having issues with people's computers and it's been crashing a lot. A lot of people are switching over to DaVinci Resolve, and it is a powerful, powerful piece of software, and it's free. So how are they making money? In order for something to be free, you have to monetize something on the back end. And giving people the ability to really get inside of a piece of software, and then once they get good enough, offer them a paid version, I think is a brilliant idea. But Blackmagic Design, which is the company that creates DaVinci Resolve, doesn't just make their money from DaVinci Resolve. They make most of their money from camera sales. They actually make a significant portion of their money from their actual hardware. They have video controllers and cameras, tons of hardware for people in that space. And that's mostly how they monetize on the back end. Now look, take this YouTube channel for example. I make money from YouTube, not from AdSense really, that is like pennies on the dollar, but a lot of you guys get to watch my content for free, and then some of you that actually want to go deeper with me can work with me either one-on-one with mixing and mastering your songs, or I even do coaching and teaching and things like that. And now that's not everybody, and it's not for everybody, and that's okay. But the small percentage of people that want to do that make it worth it to me to continue to teach everybody else for free every single week with this YouTube channel. Being able to monetize on the back end is really the best way to create something free that makes everybody happy. The developers have to feed their families, and you can't expect them to do free work. But yet there is a way to do free. Now look, I am a Studio One user, and PreSonus owns Studio One, and PreSonus has been purchased by Fender, and PreSonus and Fender make a ton of hardware. If Studio One had a just banger free tier, I think a lot of people would be switching over to Studio One. Now look, I don't own a big business. I don't understand how all of that works. I get that. But I really think that it would be a brilliant move for a company that has a hardware and physical products backend and even a software backend to sell something for free at the front end. And then once people get good enough and they're really invested in the DAW, then they can charge a little bit more for the high tier package of that video editor, or in this case, that digital audio workstation. Now, real quick, I want to talk about why I think you should pay for a DAW, and I'm probably going to make a couple people mad here, but just hear me out on this. If you can pay for a DAW, I really think you should, and this is why. If you pay attention, and the more you pay attention. Sometimes it has to hurt a little bit for you to really dive in. I remember I learned GarageBand that was free on my Mac, and I kind of learned it, not entirely, but then I bought Logic, and I just went headfirst into Logic and learned everything I possibly could, because at the time, $200 for me was a lot of money, and I invested a ton of my time into learning that software in and out. I'm now fluent in a lot of DAWs like Pro Tools and Ableton and FL Studio a little bit. Studio One especially, it's one of my favorite DAWs. And the reason is because when you pay attention. These DAWs are expensive. And even when you get a free trial, you know that trial is going to run up, and you need to know that, is this the DAW for me before I jump full on in? Sometimes it's worth getting a little bit more invested in your craft and financially as well. Now, I understand this isn't for everyone, but for the few that can, believe me, it really helps. And if you don't have the money to spend on a DAW, I understand that as well. What you have right now is time, and you can invest that as much as you possibly can too. Now, speaking of free, I have a free masterclass on recording vocals. And at the end of that masterclass, after I do a ton of teaching for almost an hour, I do have an offer on the back end if you want to go deeper with me. Well, that was pretty meta. Full circle. We went full circle. Now, for those of you that don't want to go further with me, still click on the link and watch it. I promise you it will be 100% worth your time. Now, I put Ableton Live and Studio One head-to-head in this video right here. You can click on that video, and it's completely unbiased because I got an Ableton Live expert, and we compared the DAWs from both of our perspectives. Not just my perspective as a Studio One user, but his as an Ableton Live user and mine as a Studio One user. You're going to want to click on that video there, and I'll see you over there. Now, as always, go create.